Absolutely. If I can respond to the earlier remark from Wasserman Schultz, I forgot more about this issue than you ever know. So if you say my testimony is inaccurate, it's wrong. Everything I said here is accurate. Bottom line. If you want to go toe-to-toe, I'm here. I'm here in my own time to speak to the American people about what's false and what's fact.
I'm sure happy to go toe-to-toe with you, Mr. Homan.
Well,
happy
I'm
to do
here.
that any day.
But you got to let me respond to your question rather than dropping a bomb and running away.
It was my time.
So there's a crisis on the board.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father from
Mr.
his
Homan,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way.
Today, we're breaking down one of the most intense testimonies to hit Congress in recent years. We're talking about Tom Homan's explosive appearance, where he laid it all out about the U.S. border crisis. No filters, no holding back. In this video, I'm giving you a 10-point summary of his testimony, so whether you missed the hearing or just want the facts, you're in the right place. This is something every American needs to hear, regardless of your politics.
Sir, my statement's going to take about 6 minutes. I appreciate leeway since other panel members had up to 7 minutes.
All right, go for it.
Chairman Cummings, Ranking Member Jordan, and members of the committee, it is a privilege to appear before you today, and thank you for this invitation. I have spent 34 years enforcing immigration laws. I started my career in 1984 as a Border Patrol agent, then as a special agent, and climbed the ranks one step at a time to become the acting ICE director. I have conducted and oversaw criminal investigations into alien.
The gentleman will suspend for just a moment. We're not allowed to have graphic poster displays during testimony of witnesses. Okay, thank you.
I have conducted and oversaw criminal investigations into alien smuggling, human trafficking, immigration fraud, narcotics trafficking, gun trafficking, and human trafficking, child predator crimes, and other customs-related offenses. As the Executive Associate Director of ICE, I oversaw all interior enforcement operations to include arrests, detention, and removal of those illegally in the United States in order removed by an immigration judge.
Forgive me, Mr. Homan. The gentleman will suspend. Officer, the people who are doing that are allowed to stay if they agree not to do any more poster demonstrations. So just let them know that, and they can quietly be readmitted. Very good. Mr. Homan, your time will be compensated for. Thanks.
I retired on January 27, 2017, was asked on that same day to postpone my retirement and serve as the acting director of ICE by the President of the United States. It was a great honor. I stayed and served for another year and a half to my second retirement on June 30th, 2018. With more than 3 decades of immigration enforcement experience, I'm extremely concerned about the growing risk to our nation's public safety, security, rule of law, and that is all due to illegal immigration. What is happening on our southern border is unprecedented in several ways. The composition of those entering illegally is unprecedented because 70% of those are either family units or unaccompanied children. It is also unprecedented that a majority of those crossing are abusing the asylum laws and making fraudulent claims of asylum and are exploiting the loopholes that Congress has refused to close. Also unprecedented is the attack and vilification of the American patriots that serve this nation as Border Patrol agents, ICE officers, and agents. The biggest problem involves the unwillingness of Congress to address the loopholes that are causing this crisis. I and many others have spent the last 2 years saying what needs to be done not only to protect our borders, enforce law in a meaningful way, but to also save lives. However, those calls for action has fallen on deaf ears because there's no more interest in fixing this problem. It's about open borders agenda, resisting our president, more interest in that than securing our border. This should not be a partisan issue. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, you should want to secure our border. There's no downside on having a secure border. There is no downside on having less illegal immigration. There is no downside on less illegal drugs coming in this country. There is no downside in stopping the bankrolling of criminal cartels in Mexico that smuggle both people and drugs. After all, Border Patrol and ICE are merely enforcing the laws enacted by Congress. Past few weeks, the attacks on the Border Patrol have swelled. The media and some in Congress want to say that those in the Border Patrol custody are mistreated. The holding facilities are overcrowded and there are not enough showers. The DHS Inspector General also said the facilities were overcrowded, which in turn affects the quality of care within the facility. However, this should be no surprise to anyone. Border Patrol leadership and acting DHS Secretary McAleenan have been warning Congress for months that this system is overwhelmed and that more funds are needed so these people can be moved quickly to a more appropriate facility designed for them. The same people that vilify the Border Patrol for detention conditions are the same people that refuse to answer their call for help until it's too late. I find it disheartening that no one here, I've heard today, wants to talk about the 4,000 lives that the Border Patrol saved last year. Over 4,000 people that were found by Border Patrol agents in dire straits that may have perished if it wasn't for the heroic efforts of these agents. No one talks about how these men and women bring toys from their home and their own children to these facilities so the migrant children will have something to play with. No one talks about the sicknesses of these migrants and how these agents take that sickness home to their own families because of that exposure. No one wants to talk about how these agents have to go through TB screening constantly because they've been exposed to that serious illness. No one wants to talk about how these men and women who care for these children that cross illegally into this country, I'm talking about unaccompanied alien children now, cross into this country in the hands of criminal organizations that were abandoned by their own families. No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about how these Border Patrol agent mom and dads console these children, and it's disgraceful. Finally, I want to address the unprecedented attack and vilification on men and women of ICE and the Border Patrol. These men and women who chose a life of service to this nation deserve better, not only from the media, from those here in this committee and other members of Congress. These men and women who chose life of service deserve more. These men and women are working in extremely difficult environments and dealing with an extraordinary influx of vulnerable people. They are doing the best they can under the circumstances. As a 34-year veteran of law enforcement, it is shocking to see the constant attacks against those that leave the safety and security of their homes every day, put on a Kevlar vest and put a gun on their hip, and risk their own safety to defend this nation.
Let's dive in. First up, who is Tom Homan, and why should we care what he says? Homan has spent 34 years on the front lines of immigration enforcement, from Border Patrol agent to special agent and eventually acting director of ICE under President Trump. He's seen it all: criminal investigations, human trafficking, illegal smuggling, you name it. So when he talks about the border crisis, he's not throwing opinions around. He's speaking from decades of boots-on-the-ground experience. Homan describes the current situation as unprecedented, and not in a good way. Right now, 70% of illegal crossings involve either family units or unaccompanied minors. This isn't the same border crisis from 10 years ago. It's a complete shift in how people are coming into the U.S., and it's overwhelming the system. And here's the kicker. Many are exploiting the U.S. asylum system using loopholes and making fraudulent claims to stay in the country. According to Homan, Congress knows about this, but they've refused to act. This is where things get fiery. Homan slams Congress for ignoring real solutions and playing politics instead. He says lawmakers are more focused on resisting the administration than fixing the laws that are clearly broken. Meanwhile, Border Patrol and ICE agents are being vilified by the media and some politicians. Homan calls this disgraceful. These are the same people who risk their lives, save thousands of migrants, and bring toys from home to comfort kids in holding facilities. That's led to a surge in family crossings because people know they'll likely be released quickly. Homan says if we don't fix the asylum system and update our laws, we're just encouraging more illegal crossings and empowering cartels and traffickers who are profiting from this chaos. In the end, Homan's message is clear. This isn't about politics. It's about safety, law, and human decency. He says securing the border isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. There's no downside to less illegal immigration, fewer drugs, and stronger national security. The only thing stopping real reform is a lack of will in Washington, and his final plea for Congress to act now, not next year, not after the next election, now. So there you have it. A 10-point breakdown of one of the most powerful border testimonies we've seen in years. Whether you agree with Tom Homan or not, one thing is undeniable. The system is broken, and people on the front lines are feeling it the most. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more straight shooting content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.